Hello everyone, Lee here. Hope you're all okay. This is my first YouTube video in months, so hello to all my subscribers and followers. I'm sorry I haven't made a video in the last few months. I've been very busy, but I wanted to make a video on the Occupy movement and my experience of Occupy London. I went to it last night as an event thing that Occupy London were holding last night, and where obviously anyone could come. And basically what there was musicians, playing songs. There were comedians doing stand-up routines. There was also a choir where we could all sing, actually, the Occupy choir called Enough Is Enough, and they were kind of singing protest songs in the form of hymns, which I thought was really good. um, and also probably my favourite part of the evening, I mean, I left about 9:30. I don't know what happened afterwards, but certainly my favourite part of the evening was the section where we separated into different groups. Everyone just involved there of Occupy separated in different groups and discussed ideas about what we think Occupy should campaign for, how we think Occupy should spread their message more, and what can we do personally to spread Occupy's message. And apparently they do this every night, and they come up with different ideas every night. And this was a great part because everyone was sharing ideas. There was a sense of, I think, unity and equality, that everyone was being listened to. It didn't matter you know what country you're from, how old you were. Again, it didn't matter about any of these things. And a lot of people say to me, well, okay, if they ask the people for ideas, do they actually have what is Occupy's message? Do they actually have, specific points they're campaigning for, or is it just vague? Well, I'm going to read the 8-point manifesto. It's very short. 8-point, it's quite a vague general manifesto, but I think it actually, I think you'll understand what their message is. So let me just read it out. Sorry, I'm looking away from the screen. I've got my screen on a different monitor because my screen's cracked, but my webcam still works on my laptop screen. It's confusing, but anyway, I digress. Right, the manifesto by Occupy London Group, St Paul's. The current system is unsustainable, is undemocratic and unjust. We need alternatives. This is where we work towards them. So we all realise that big corporations have massive say in government policies. Well, they can afford to lobby government anyway, but they're very secretive about it. There's not transparency with lobbying. And so the governments do make policies not based on what the people want, but based on what the big businesses want. And that's actually been proven. So that's why I think, and that's across the world. That's not just in England or America. That's across the world. So actually, we want a fairer system. The people aren't having enough say. And I suppose that could maybe relate to maybe the kind of different voting systems we have as well. Because I personally don't believe the UK voting system is fair anyway. But that's the first point. The second point, we are of all ethnicities, backgrounds, genders, generations, sexualities, disabilities and faiths. We stand together with occupations all over the world. Now, I didn't know this, but there are 950 occupations around the world. I think that's incredible. I mean, I knew it was a worldwide movement, but I didn't know how big it was. Because I know there are some in different parts of the country here in the UK, but 950 around the world. And if you think there's probably 300, 400 people at each occupation, if you times that's quite a lot of people actually. And I think that thing is, this is a global movement as well. That point is, this is a global movement. We're all unhappy with the current system, the austerity cuts that governments across the world are making that are actually hurting the most vulnerable in our society. We stand together and share ideas. And a perfect example of this was actually, there was a guy in my group that when we were discussing ideas, he was actually from one of Spain's Occupy movements, and he came here to get ideas about what Spain could do. So I mean, I don't know what Spain are doing, the Spain movement are doing at the moment, but Anyway, he came here to get ideas about that, and that's a perfect example of actually sharing ideas. And a lot of people were saying, well, actually, Occupy London should be communicating with other Occupy movements around the world, and we should all have a unifying message. That was a lot of people's things. We should, you know, communicate more with our brothers and sisters around the world, and that's what a lot of people were saying. So actually, again, that's what it's said for. All come together to create some ideas, which again I think is fantastic. Third point, we refuse to pay for the bank's crisis. Well, again, I've mentioned the cuts. Basically, governments are in massive debt because they bailed out the banks, and now most vulnerable people in our society, the disabled, the unemployed, so many vulnerable children even, so many vulnerable people are paying for the bank's crisis, and we refuse to. We refuse to pay for them, and it goes on to the next fourth point. We do not accept these cuts either necessary or inevitable. We demand to end global tax injustice and our democracy representing corporations instead of the people. Well, again, it makes the point again that corporations have big say on. I make the point again. Corporations have big say on government policies, and actually, so many corporations get away with not paying tax, and we've just seen what the fantastic work UK Uncut have been doing, and they've actually got that into papers such as the Daily Mail, of all papers, who mainly complain about benefit scroungers. They've actually got Goldman Sachs tax avoidance onto the front page of the Daily Mail, and the usually pro-Tory Sun. So, that's just exactly what we're fighting. That's one of the things we are fighting against. Exactly. So the fifth one, we want regulators to be genuinely independent of the industries they regulate. Well, that goes without saying. I mean, because we have all these, self-regulatory bodies. Like, for example, the Press Complaints Commission. We have that regulating the press, and what Occupy are saying is, we don't want, government to regulate the press because that's limits freedom of press, but we want the actual, regulatory bodies to actually be independent of the industries they represent. Because actually the head of the Press Complaints Commission is a Daily Mail editor, and how's that fair? How is that actually fair? We want them to be genuinely independent. So again, it's another. I think that's a very specific point actually as well. So, and clearly the Press Complaints Commission has actually failed because of all the phone hacking allegations we're seeing at the moment. It says we support the strike on 30th November and the student action on the 9th of November. This is a manifesto that's a few months old. And actions to defend our health services, welfare, education and employment, and stop the wars and arms dealing. Yeah, again, that again says it all about, the pensions deal that the government are offering the public sector workers actually is unfair. And, the fact that government said, well, the pensions are unaffordable and unsustainable, and actually National Audit Office in 2009, I think, said, the pensions are affordable. And this is the thing. It's not like the government. Again, the cuts to pension, the cuts to health services, welfare, education. These aren't inevitable. As a previous point made, these aren't inevitable. The fact that there's so much tax avoided across the world by massive corporations, we could use that. All the money we should get back in tax to actually pay off the debt and deficits. So, again, we support any action against the cuts, and that's another key point there. And seventh point, we want structural change towards authentic global equality. The world's resources must go towards caring for people and the planet, not the military, corporate profits or the rich. Again, I think that's mainly talking about, the fact that, yes, we do give a lot of aid to third world countries, but actually a lot of them actually go to corrupt governments who spend it on civil wars in their own countries. So actually we want the poorest people to actually be helped. And I think Bill Hicks said it best. All that money we spent on defence and weapons, we could use to educate and clothe the poorest in the world. And I think that's exactly what that message is saying there. You know, if we want peace in this world, we shouldn't be spending loads of money on nuclear weapons. Okay, maybe we should have a defence system, but or should we? If we all took away our defences, we all said, well, we're not going to fight each other, then all that money we spend on defence and military, could you imagine what that could go towards to actually create genuine global equality? So actually, I think that's another key point. We stand in solidarity with the global oppressed, and we call for an end to the actions of our government and others in causing the oppression. I think again that's to do with the cuts, and actually also maybe the regimes around the world that are oppressing their people. You think of Syria, Bahrain, obviously Libya and Egypt, obviously recently, but fingers crossed they're going to be liberated, and also again Tunisia as well. So, and I would also say Indonesia. I don't know if a lot of people know about that, but there were actually Itch from the King Blues came yesterday. He said actually Indonesian punks were put in prison because they were holding a charity gig for orphans in Indonesia, and so the government came down on them and put them in prison. So again, that's another example of actually, we got to stand up for people being oppressed around the world. And it says, ninth point, this is what democracy looks like, come and join us. That just sums it all up. We are all sharing ideas here. Maybe some of the points in the manifesto, maybe not that specific, some of them are, but this is what we stand for. These points came from sharing ideas. Because, it's all well and saying, yeah, well, this is our manifesto, this is what we're going to stick to. But actually, the Occupy movement listened to different people that come. I mean, some people might have different points than others. And this is what this Occupy movement represents, direct democracy at the lowest level. And the fact they had that, thing last night where we were all sharing ideas, they do that every day. And I think that's fantastic. And so I suppose this is the main message, what I've read out, but actually, it can evolve over time given what people's different ideas are. So, yeah, to sum up, what I think what I think about the Occupy movement across the world and in London, I think it's so inspirational. Being there last night, seeing the unity there, and we were all equal, all sharing ideas, and we were having fun with it as well. To me, it was just fantastic. I've not seen activism like this, not in my lifetime anyway. And this is the biggest level of activism and protests I've ever seen. This isn't just a national movement. This is a global movement. We could actually make change here. I mean, you look at the work. UK Uncut have been going for 14 months, and look what they've done already. They've brought the issue to tax evasion to the mainstream media. And if we could bring these other issues that we care about through the Occupy movement to the mainstream media, then who knows, we can make serious change in this world. And a lot of people say, well, protests don't work, the governments won't listen. Well, can I just say, what about the suffragettes? What about the poll tax protest? We can change things if we all come together and actually realise that the system is wrong at the moment. It represents corporations, not the people. It's not democracy, it's undemocratic. And being there last night, it gave me a real sense of purpose, real sense of, well, we can actually change things. Because before, I may have been, a lot of people are apathetic towards politics. They think, well, governments will make decisions anyway. They don't listen to protests. Did they listen to the students? No, they didn't, did they? Maybe not. Maybe not all protests work. But you know what? If we get more and more people to support the Occupy movement, and I'm saying to you, even if you're not sure about it, even if you're considering it, go and visit Occupy London or any Occupy near you. I don't know where the other Occupies in the UK are. I mean, this video is going on YouTube, so it's global. So if you live in different countries, find out about Occupy movements. So you go there, share ideas, because this is what direct democracy is about: listening to different people's ideas. And yes, okay, they may not have the same message all the time, but if we win one battle, i.e., getting all the tax back, then maybe we can win other battles, such as fighting the cuts as well. So, it will evolve over time, given where Occupy succeed and where they don't succeed. So yeah, this is my message. I've just got to see how long this video is. Oh, it's 15 minutes long. Oh god, I don't know whether this will fit on YouTube, but I'll try and get it on there anyway. So thank you for listening, and please support Occupy. It's a fantastic movement. Go down there, check it out. Even if you don't like it, at least check it out and see. It's fantastic in my opinion. So thank you, and I'll post another video soon. Okay, bye.